The story begins with an empire introducing a young girl named Ella. Ella's mother is actually a fairy, and along with her, Ella's aunt also lived in their home. Both Ella's mother and aunt were fairies. We soon learn about a giant fairy who, upon discovering that a fairy has a daughter, comes to give Ella a magical gift. Unfortunately, this big fairy had a significant flaw: she always made mistakes while performing magic. When Ella's mother and aunt learn that the big fairy is coming, they try to hide Ella, but they can't protect her for long. As soon as the big fairy arrives, she takes Ella. When she starts giving Ella a gift, the child begins crying loudly. Upset by this reaction, the big fairy performs magic to quiet Ella. With her spell, Ella suddenly becomes silent and falls asleep. Then, the big fairy bestows her gift: Ella will always obey others. Hearing this, Ella's mother and aunt become angry with the big fairy, telling her that always obeying people is not a good gift. The big fairy responds that once she has given a gift, she cannot take it back. After saying this, she departs, leaving Ella with this blessing that will shape her entire life. As Ella grows up, her difficulties increase because of this gift. Even when she doesn't want to, she must do whatever others tell her, whether their commands are good or bad. After some time, we see that Ella's mother's health has deteriorated significantly. Lying on her deathbed and taking her final breaths, she tells Ella, "My daughter, don't tell anyone about this blessing, this gift. Otherwise, people might misuse it. Remember, no blessing, gift, or curse can be greater than a person. Don't trust these things as much as you trust yourself. Always listen to your heart, because only it can help you make the right decisions and show you the correct path. Any curse cannot change your life unless you allow it to." While speaking, Ella's mother gives her a locket before passing away. Years later, Ella has grown up. Due to a certain rule, her family's lands fall under the king's occupation. To save their house, Ella's father marries a wealthy woman. After the wedding, the woman moves into their home with her 2 daughters. Not surprisingly, Ella's stepmother dislikes her, and her stepsisters constantly torment her. One day, one of Ella's stepsisters angrily tells her, "I like your necklace very much. I want it, so give it to me." Even though she doesn't want to part with it, because of the gift, Ella must comply and hands over the necklace. Her stepsisters also say, "We like your room too. Give us that as well." Once again, Ella has no choice but to obey. She gives them her room and moves to the lower part of the house with her belongings. Due to the gift, she must obey all commands, whether she wants to or not. A few days later, Ella's father leaves for work. The scene shifts to the prince of the kingdom, who is traveling somewhere with his uncle. The prince's parents, the king and queen, had died long ago, and since then, his uncle has been managing the kingdom. However, the uncle is not a good ruler. He is dishonest, seizing people's lands and profiting from them. The prince, unaware of his uncle's corruption, is soon to become king. One day, Ella visits the market with her friend. The prince also arrives to deliver a speech. All the girls in the city admire the prince and are infatuated with him, including Ella's stepsisters who come to see him. But Ella is different. Angry about losing her family's lands, she protests against the prince. Rather than being offended, the prince becomes intrigued by Ella when he notices her. In the crowd, she's the first girl who isn't obsessed with him like the others. She speaks with a clear mind. When Ella's stepsister sees this interaction, she becomes furious and commands Ella to go home. Because of the gift, Ella must obey and begins to leave. After his speech concludes, the prince also starts heading home. However, the girls who are crazy about him break through the stage and chase after him. The prince flees into the jungle with the crowd in pursuit. Meanwhile, Ella is also passing through the jungle. Accidentally, the prince runs into her. Before Ella can make a sound, the prince covers her mouth, and they hide together as the group of girls passes by. Following this encounter, Ella becomes very angry and tries to leave. Confused by her reaction, the prince repeatedly asks what's wrong, but Ella ignores his questions. Frustrated, the prince commands her to stop. Because of the gift, Ella freezes in place, following the prince's order. Suddenly, a carriage approaches from ahead, heading straight toward the immobile Ella. Unable to move due to the curse, Ella stands helpless. Seeing the danger, the prince quickly grabs Ella and pulls her aside, saving her life. As they get up after the carriage passes, Ella's 2 stepsisters arrive. The elder sister tells Ella to go home with the younger sister. After sending them away, she tries to flirt with the prince. Uninterested, he ignores her and runs off. Ella's elder sister begins to notice something strange. Although Ella is only her stepsister, she obeys every command. Taking advantage of this observation, she orders Ella to steal shoes from a shop. Though Ella initially refuses, she ultimately complies when her sister gives the direct command. The stepsisters make Ella steal many items, but eventually, a soldier spots her in the act. To avoid capture, Ella runs away, but she cannot evade the police for long. They arrest her and take her to jail in handcuffs. Ella's stepmother later bails her out. Back at home, she scolds Ella severely. Instead of revealing the truth, Ella's stepsister whispers in her ear, "Ella, say that your friend told you to steal these shoes, your best friend." Though Ella doesn't want to blame her friend, she has no choice but to do as told. When Ella's best friend visits, her stepmother forces Ella to end the friendship. Breaking her friend's heart, Ella says, "Our friendship cannot continue. Please leave," even though it's the last thing she wants to do. Devastated by losing her best friend, Ella becomes deeply sad. Then her aunt arrives and advises, "My child, listen to me. You must find that big fairy so she can break the spell that was given to you as a gift." Ella responds sadly, "Where in the world would I find that big fairy? I don't even know where to look." Hearing this, Ella's aunt presents her with a book and explains, "A few years ago, I was performing magic on my friend, but because I misused the spell, my friend transformed into this book. With its help, you can discover the big fairy's location." The book Ella's aunt's transformed friend searches for the big fairy's whereabouts and discovers she's in a place called Giant Valley. That same day, with her aunt's help, Ella leaves home, taking the magical book with her as a guide. The book functions like a map, showing where people are located worldwide, and helps Ella stay on the right path. While traveling through the jungle, Ella hears someone screaming. The voice belongs to an elf who has been tied up and is being harassed. Approaching the scene, Ella confronts the bullies, demanding, "Why have you tied him up? Release him." The boys mock Ella, saying, "Look, this girl thinks she's going to break our legs." Because of the gift's literal interpretation, Ella actually does this. She begins breaking their legs one by one, beats them thoroughly, and frees the elf. The liberated elf shares his story with Ella. He explains that people expect elves to be entertainers who sing and dance, but he aspires to become a lawyer. Unfortunately, in this kingdom, only humans can practice law. He expresses his frustration, saying he plans to discuss this issue with the prince soon. Ella reveals her own situation and mentions she's heading to Giant Valley for a specific purpose. The elf responds, "You cannot go there alone, it could be dangerous. If you want, I can accompany you." They decide to travel together. First, the elf takes Ella to his village, where they have dinner that night. Meanwhile, at the kingdom, preparations are underway for the prince's coronation ceremony. Invitations are distributed throughout the city. On the same day as his coronation, the prince is also scheduled to marry, choosing a bride from among the kingdom's eligible young women. An invitation arrives at Ella's house, addressed specifically to her. As Ella's aunt examines the card, her stepmother suddenly appears, snatches the letter, and decides that she and her daughters will attend the party instead. That night, while Ella and the elves are resting, the prince's soldiers arrive, forcibly collecting elves to perform at the palace festivities. Ella and her elf companion hide until the soldiers leave, then continue their journey. As they travel through the jungle, they're surrounded by strange, large-sized people who capture them both. These captors hang Ella and the elf, preparing to cook and eat them. Suddenly, the prince and his soldiers arrive. The prince battles these strange individuals and rescues Ella and the elf. It turns out these people are the same ones who murdered the prince's parents years ago. Despite his anger, the prince spares their lives, giving them one last chance to reform, and orders them to leave. Impressed by this mercy, Ella is surprised. The prince asks what she's doing in the jungle, and she explains that she's searching for her fairy godmother in Giant Valley. Hearing this, the prince offers to accompany her to help with her quest. Although Ella is reluctant to accept his company, at the elf's insistence, she agrees to let the prince escort them to Giant Valley with his soldiers. During their journey together, the elf seizes the opportunity to tell the prince about his ambition. "Prince, I want to tell you something. I want to be a lawyer, not an entertainer like other elves. But because of some rule, only humans can become lawyers." Unfamiliar with this regulation, the prince responds, "I can't do anything about it. My uncle handles such matters. When I become king, I'll see what can be done." Disappointed by this answer, Ella challenges the prince, "You're not an ordinary person, you're a prince. You can bring about change. You should listen to people's problems and solve them." The prince appreciates her perspective. After completing their journey, the three arrive at Giant Valley, where they see giants of enormous size being beaten and forced to work by the king's soldiers. Upon arrival, Ella discovers that the big fairy is not there. Disappointed, she prepares to leave, but a celebration is taking place in Giant Valley, requiring the prince to stay overnight. The prince pleads with Ella, "Please, it's just for one day. Let's stay tonight and continue tomorrow." Because of his request, Ella must comply, even against her wishes. During the celebration, the king and prince of the giants engage in conversation, addressing and resolving various problems affecting their community. Seeing this diplomacy, Ella's trust in the prince grows. As they enjoy the festivities together, dancing and talking, Ella tells the prince, "I've been searching for my godmother, the big fairy, for a long time. My quest led me here." The prince offers his help, explaining, "I can assist you. All the people in my kingdom are recorded in our archives. We can find your fairy godmother's address there." Hearing this, Ella becomes very hopeful. The next morning, they depart for the prince's kingdom. Upon arrival, the prince brings Ella to his palace, where, coincidentally, Ella's stepmother and stepsisters are also present. The prince takes Ella to the records room to search for information about the big fairy. While Ella begins her search, the prince meets with his uncle and announces, "I like Ella very much and plan to marry her." The prince's uncle is displeased by this news because he secretly desires to retain control of the kingdom. He views Ella as an obstacle and summons her stepsisters to help eliminate her. The uncle proposes a deal to Ella's elder stepsister. "I will arrange your marriage to the prince, but first, you must remove Ella from my path." The stepsister confidently responds, "That's easy. Ella is under some kind of spell, she obeys whatever she's told." Armed with this information, the uncle visits Ella in the records room and instructs her, "When the prince proposes marriage to you, you must kill him with this knife." He hands her a blade, which Ella must accept due to the gift. As she prepares to leave, the uncle adds, "Listen to me, you will not tell anyone about this. You will keep it secret." Because of this command, Ella cannot reveal the plot to anyone. Desperate to avoid harming the prince, Ella flees the palace and has an elf tie her to a tree outside the city. She tells the elf, "Go to your village and bring all the elves and giants to this kingdom so they can together stop the prince's uncle." As darkness falls where Ella is bound, she feels herself being inexplicably pulled toward the palace because of the curse. In her heart, she prays to encounter the big fairy just once. Miraculously, her prayer is answered when the big fairy suddenly appears. She had intended to go elsewhere but arrived there by mistake. Overjoyed to see her, Ella exclaims, "You're my fairy godmother, but you mistakenly gave me a curse instead of a gift." Despite Ella's explanation, the big fairy refuses to revoke the spell, stating that she never takes back gifts once given. Although Ella pleads with her, the fairy ignores her pleas. However, she does use her magic to free Ella from the chains and transforms her appearance, making her look extraordinarily beautiful. Then she magically sends Ella to the palace against her will. The prince is delighted to find Ella before him and plans to take her to a romantic location to propose. Following the uncle's order, Ella draws her knife to kill the prince but struggles internally against the command. In this crucial moment, she remembers her mother's final words, "No curse can be greater than a human. Always listen to your heart, for only it can show you the right path." Finding her inner strength, Ella drops the knife to the ground. However, through a mirror's reflection, the prince glimpses the knife in her hand and misunderstands her intentions. He calls his guards and has Ella imprisoned. Meanwhile, the elf enters the palace with fellow elves and giants as Ella had instructed, and they free her from confinement. With the help of the magical book, Ella witnesses the prince's uncle poisoning the crown so that when the prince wears it during his coronation, he will be paralyzed. To save the prince, Ella rushes to the coronation ceremony. She interrupts the proceedings, shouting the truth about the prince's uncle's treachery. When the uncle's pet snake is about to strike the prince, Ella intervenes, kicking it away and saving the prince's life. Enraged, the uncle inadvertently confesses his crimes. "I killed everyone and seized people's lands because I wanted to become king myself." In his fury, he impulsively puts on the poison crown, paralyzing himself and ultimately causing his own death. Witnessing these events, Ella's elder stepsister attempts to command her once more. Laughing, Ella responds, "That won't work anymore. I won't obey you because I've broken the curse myself." The final scene shows Ella and the prince getting married, bringing the movie to its happy conclusion. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, hit like and share. Don't forget to subscribe to GOAT Recaps for more. What movie should we recap next? Let us know in the comments. See you in the next one.